Hello friends, it's Kate Lanagan MacGregor at Agent Rising, and I want to go through the candidate bulletin with you. There have been some changes with the Massachusetts Board of Registration and PSI, and I want to go through it with you. And for my new students who have not even heard of the past, this will be no change for you, but there may be a couple of little ramifications of the changes when you go to book your exam. Okay, so I'm going to go through it right now. And this booklet, which is available online, it's also on our website at agentrising.com. And it's also, if you are local, we have some copies of it. So please stop by our office. And what it is called the Examination Candidate Information Bulletin. And as I talk about this, the changes that are made was a request from the Department Division of Professional Licensure Board of Registration and Real Estate Brokers and Salespersons, and PSI, which is the testing center that is contracted by Massachusetts to do the testing. Okay, so when we're talking about whose questions are where and what kind of feedback we've gotten, I just want to kind of clarify, who's who, right? Okay, so this bulletin, and again, I recommend that you read this bulletin word for word. We are not going to go through it word for word right now. I just think it's a great centering to start your business with, and I think that it's a great way for you as you're going along to remember what it is that they have indicated that they are testing you on. Okay, so it's going to provide information on the requirements as well as the process for achieving licensure. Candidates are eligible for the two-part examination when their application and supporting documentation are approved. Okay, so how it works now is that you take the parts in here, you submit them, you send them off. So you get your book, you fill in your query form, you send them off to PSI, which is located in Nevada, and then they will then approve that, and then you can book your exam. Okay, so that's what they're talking about here. And that is the new thing. It used to be that you got your booklet, you sent it in, or you called and you booked your exam. So now it's a two-part process. And I believe what they are hoping for and actually achieving is that they have that query check done and they before they book the exam, so that you have that query check done before you actually get licensed. So that's where the process came from. So it makes total sense. And as a real estate professional, I absolutely appreciate the fact that we have had that query check before we have people out there practicing, right? So it's a good thing. It's just a timing thing right now, okay? So in order to be approved for examination by the Board of Registration of Real Estate Brokers and Salespeople, candidates must have the required work requirements and education. The board has contracted with PSI to process applications, field any questions on applications, notify candidates, and conduct the examinations. Hence, PSI will always have the most up-to-date information on applications and exams. So what it says here is applications may seek counsel anytime during the application process, so you can reach out to them at any time. The Exam Candidate Information Bulletin is written by the board and includes the board's policies and procedures as regards the exam process to achieve licensure. And then references to the Mass General Laws, which is MGL, or Code of Massachusetts Regulations, which is CMR, may be excerpted or paraphrased. For the accurate quotes, please see the official versions. An exact version is available on the board's website. Original copies of the CMRs may be obtained from the state bookstore located in Boston. Okay, so here's our table of content. It talks about examinations by PSI services, applying for a license, scheduling procedures, examination center locations, reporting to the examination center, taking the examination by computer, score reporting on onset licensing, and examination content outlines for sales and brokers, the general portion and the state portion. Okay, so again, when it goes to the licensure process, and it just says this is when the agency of state government or other jurisdiction grants permission to individuals to engage in the practice of and prohibits all others from legally practicing a particular profession, vocation, or occupation. And in our case, that's real estate sales. Okay, and again, we've talked about that. They've done that. So when it comes time to apply for your license, Here are the requirements that you need to have in order to apply for that license. The first for salespersons is you must be 18 years of age. Now you can take the class before you're 18, okay? But the actual testing is at 18 years of age. Complete 40 hours of pre-licensure salesperson education. And for approved schools, you can do this online, okay? There is a live component, a live online component to that. Obtain a completed Massachusetts Board of Real Estate Educational Certificate form to be completed by a board-approved real estate school. And it says found at the end of this candidate information bulletin. And again, Agent Rising is one of those schools. Obtain 3 complete candidate endorsements from individuals unrelated to the applicant. They do not need to be Massachusetts residents. Classmates known by the application from only the real estate course may not sign candidate endorsement, which means at the end of class, you don't pass around your booklet to be signed. Okay? For broker applications, they must be at least 18 years of age, have completed 40 hours of pre-licensure broker education, so the same so far, right? Have been licensed and affiliated with a Massachusetts broker in the capacity of a Massachusetts real estate salesperson for 3 years. The experience requirement must be no more than 2 years old when the examination is taken. Okay, obtain a completed Massachusetts Board of Real Estate Education Certificate form to be completed by a board-approved real estate school, found at the end of this candidate information bulletin. Have a current Massachusetts salesperson's license. Have a $5,000 surety bond on the original enclosed form, and it says a copy is not acceptable, completed and signed by the insurance agent, signed by the principal candidate examinee, and witnessed. Obtain 3 completed candidate endorsements from individuals unrelated to the applicant. They do not need to be Massachusetts residents. Classmates known only by the class may not sign these forms. Okay, and again, this right here is a 3-year affiliation requirement. And again, it's to be filled in only by your employing broker. All dates must be clearly indicated as month, day, and year. So if you have worked for different real estate agencies in the last 3 years, you must have all of them sign off for you. Any date indicated beyond a broker's signature date will not be accepted. Applicants for the broker exam must have completed 3 years of affiliation as an active Massachusetts salesperson under an active Massachusetts broker. The broker must endorse employing broker certificate located at the back of this education certificate located in this candidate bulletin. An employing broker form must be completed in its entirety by only the employing broker. Again, only the original copy will be accepted. Copies are not permitted. The applicant must have worked a minimum of 25 hours per week for a minimum of 3 years. An applicant for a broker's license may use prior salesperson experience so long as that experience is not over 2 years old and or there has not been a 2-year gap in between the current and past salesperson experience. So in other words, they want you to have been working in the field in the recent past. In the event that a salesperson affiliates with more than one broker at various times, 2 employing broker certificate forms are provided. If more than 2 forms are required, signed and dated letters must be obtained from additional brokers, preferably using their business letterhead, and must include all features of the original employing broker certificate. Okay, so applicants located in another state, they must be currently licensed in another jurisdiction and should visit the board's real estate website, okay? And to view the policy, click Applications and Form link, and then click the respective application type, attorney licensure, educational waivers, or reciprocal licensure. The board, after review, will notify the candidate of its decision. The license from another state must be current or a waiver will not be issued. The waiver, which an education certificate form is included in the CIB, must be completed and submitted with the application. And again, 3 candidate endorsements must be made. So real estate licensure, salespersons must apply for and pass the licensing exam within 2 years of the date of completing the required salesperson education. It says, note, it is recommended that candidates do not wait until the certificate is ready to expire to apply to take the test, because there's a little bit of a gap right now. Candidates must allow ample time within the 2-year period when making an examination reservation. Right, so do not wait to the end. Be prepared to pay the license on the day of the exam. upon passing the exam, and we'll talk about that. Have, pursuant to Mass General Laws, Chapter 62C, Section 49A, to the best of his or her knowledge and belief, filed all state tax returns and paid all state taxes required by law, and then provide a valid Social Security number and/or a valid tax ID number. This is mandatory. And for our brokers, they must apply for and pass the licensure examination within 2 years of completing their required course. And again, same thing. Let me see if there's anything. All right, so there's also be currently licensed as a salesperson in Massachusetts at the time of the application. The license may be either active or inactive at the time of the exam. Have been licensed as an active Massachusetts salesperson and affiliated with a Massachusetts real estate broker for at least 3 years minimum of 25 hours per week. The experience requirement must be no more than 2 years old when the exam is taken. And again, obtain that bond. All right, so the same things. Now, the qualifying questions they're going to ask you is in the application, found at the end, may affect your ability to become licensed in the Massachusetts Commonwealth. At this time, the broker does not license applicants who are currently on probation or parole. To view the board's good moral character policy, click the statute and regulations link, and then click the board policies and guidelines link, and then on the determination of good moral character for initial broker or salesperson licensure by examination, reciprocity waiver, or educational requirement, or as an attorney broker link. Okay, so unofficially, our experience has been that when you do go through the review, they are pretty reasonable. So if there is something that you have a question on it, it may be something that you want to spend some time on before you go through the 40 hours, right? Approved education providers, again, there's a list. Continuing education requirement. Since the first license is prorated, it will be valid for no less than 2 years and no more than 3 years. When candidates submit their first license renewal, they must have completed continuing education before renewing their license as active. And this is to be able to practice real estate. The current requirement is 12 hours. This education requirement must be completed before renewing the license. If a candidate does not complete continuing education, his or her license will be renewed as inactive, and you will no longer be able to practice real estate. So the license term. The license date is the date of the candidate passes their exam. The expiration date is the candidate's date of birth. The license will be issued for no more than 2 years, but not greater than 3 years. For example, if the examination pass date is March 15, 2019, this is the issue date. The candidate's date of birth is April 1st, and thus the application will be April 1st, 2021. So 2 years from your next birthday. Your scheduling procedures. The exam is divided into 2 parts, the general portion and the state portion. Candidates who pass one portion of the exam and fail the other need to retake only the failed portion. The failed portion must be successfully completed within the 2 years from the completion date of the educational certificate form. Okay, so when your book gets stamped, that's when that 2-year clock starts. Candidates who obtain a new education certificate must retake both portions of the exam. Okay, so if you don't go back and retake the part that you didn't pass, and you go past that date, then you have to start fresh. The exam fees are $85 for salesperson candidate and $106 for broker candidate. If a candidate fails to appear for the scheduled exam or fails to change or cancel their reservation within 2 days prior to the scheduled appointment, the examination fee will be forfeited and the candidate will be unable to reschedule an examination until they pay the appropriate retake fee. The fee to retake all salesperson and brokers candidates is $54. Okay, so the retake fee is $54. Payment must be made at the time of scheduling by Visa, MasterCard, American Express, or Discover. Payment for the exam will not be accepted at the test center. So if you are active duty military or a veteran, the fee for active duty or veterans is $54 for both salesperson and broker candidates. In order for this fee to be honored, the candidate must make a reservation by using the active duty military or veteran discount exam reservation form found at the back of this bulletin and include a photocopy of the military orders or discharge papers. The photocopy of the documents will not be returned. Note, failure to provide a copy of the documents will require payment of the full fee in order to schedule the exam. After you are approved to exam by the board, you will be eligible to schedule the exam using one of the following methods. So to clarify, when we get to the back of the book, we will review what you send in to Nevada, and then they review it, okay? And then they approve you, and then you're able to book your exam, okay? So as I said, this is a change, and they kind of flip-flopped it a little bit, and we are going through that transition. It's no big deal. We got this. All right. Online. So we can go to psiexams.com, and they say it's the fast and most convenient examination scheduling process is to register online. Okay. What you do is you log on to PSI website and create an account. The online form will ask you to enter your email address and spell your name exactly as it appears on the identification that you will be presenting at the exam center. The form will ask you to choose the exam you wish to take, enter your personal and contact information, and pay for and schedule the exam. For the candidate ID, it is suggested that you enter your last name and last 4 digits of your phone number. So you're going to create a candidate ID. This form allows you to enter a zip code to see if the list of exam centers closest to you. Once you schedule the desired exam center, you'll be able to choose available dates for your exam. The second fastest method of scheduling is via the telephone. The telephone number, and then speak with a live registrar, available Monday through Friday, 7:30 a.m. to 10 p.m., Saturday and Sunday between 9 a.m. and 5:30 p.m. Eastern Time. To register by phone, you will need a valid Visa, MasterCard, or American Express or Discover. If you are under a time crunch and you want to take the exam as fast as possible, I suggest you telephone, because they can kind of pop from location to and try to get you in as soon as possible. Okay? So through fax, you can complete the PSI registration form found at the end of the bulletin and fax it over. All right, by email, complete the PSI registration form, including your credit card number and expiration date. Email the form to this number, and they accept it 24 hours a day. And again, that takes 4 business days for them to process the registration. Okay, and then you can go online and call PSI to schedule the exam. Okay, so, and then standard mail. So I'm going to just scoot through here because I don't know why anybody would do that, right? Because most of the time you want to be able to actively get that exam date as soon as possible, okay? You know, my goal is always to, I talk about your information coming in and your information going out. And we want to make sure that as you are learning things, that we want to minimize the gap before you get that exam. Okay, so rescheduling and canceling an examination appointment. PSI must receive your cancellation at least 2 days before the scheduled examination date. For example, for a Monday appointment, you would need to cancel your appointment on or before the previous Saturday. Okay, and you can use PSI's website or call them. No, you cannot cancel an appointment by leaving a voicemail message. You must use PSI website or speak directly to a PSI customer service representative. Retaking in a failed exam. You cannot make a new exam appointment on the day that you have taken an exam because we need to process and report examination results. A candidate who fails an examination on a Wednesday can call the next day, Thursday, and retest as soon as Friday, depending on space availability. All right, missed appointment or late cancellation. If you are late or if you miss it, you are forfeiting your exam fee if you do not cancel your appointment at least 2 days before, do not appear before the exam date, arrive after start time, or do not present proper identification when you arrive for the exam, or if your stuff is not filled in correctly. If you don't have they are very specific on what they want you to do. Okay, PSI exam centers are equipped to provide access in accordance with American Disabilities Act of 1990. The exam accommodations will be made in meeting a candidate's needs. Okay, and again, there's a form for that. There's a form for that. Examination test center closing for an emergency. In the event of severe weather or another emergency that forces the closure of the exam center on a scheduled exam date, your examination will be rescheduled. PSI personnel will attempt to contact you in the situation. However, you may check the status of your exam appointment by calling 800-733-9267 or check at the website of psiexams.com. Every effort will be made to reschedule your exam at a convenient time as soon as possible. Your exam will be rescheduled at no additional charge to you. That's awfully nice of them, isn't it? Okay, so here's where the test centers are in Massachusetts. Auburn, Mass., Boston, Fall River, Lawrence, and West Springfield. Okay, so well, let's just go through this last piece, and then we're gonna kind of break this up because it's quite a bit of content. So, reporting it to the exam center. On the day of your exam, you should arrive at least 30 minutes before your exam appointment. This extra time is for sign-in and identification and familiarizing yourself with the exam process. If you arrive late, you may not be admitted to the exam center and you will forfeit your registration fee. Candidates who do not present their required materials upon entering the test center will be denied admission to the exam. So they do not give you opportunities to figure it out, if you will. Okay, so here is your primary identification. That could be a government-issued driver's license. Okay, I think that's the best one. A U.S. learner's permit, though only with a photo and signature. Your national, state, or country identification card. A government-issued passport. Okay, government-issued military identification card. A U.S. issued military identification card for spouses and dependents. Or the U.S. government-issued alien registration card. Okay, and it must obtain your candidate's photo, be valid and unexpired. Your second identification, which you can use, is the credit card or debit card of yours that must be signed, a social security card, and then any form on this primary list. And it states here that no student or employment IDs are acceptable. All right, and it says, note here, candidates not presenting the appropriate identification or identification does not match exactly the registration information provided, you will be denied admission to the test center and will forfeit your exam fee. Okay, so security procedures. And my recommendation always is either leave your stuff at home or leave it in your car. Don't even bring it in, right? Because they, they don't want you to bring it in, but it's also for you. They give you a little locker or whatever. They test you very carefully to make sure you don't have anything. All right. Now, an online calculator is provided, right? So personal calculators are not permitted. You will be given a piece of scratch paper and pencil. These will be returned to the proctor at the end of your exam. All right, so you don't get to take them with you. Candidates may only take approved items into the exam room. Okay? All personal belongings of the candidates, with the exception of a close-fitting jacket or sweatshirt, should be placed in the security storage provided at each site prior to entering the exam room. Personal belongings include, but are not limited to, so these things cannot go in with you. Electronic devices of any type, including a cellular mobile phone, recording devices, electronic watches. You cannot wear your Apple Watch. Okay, somebody wore one and they forgot that they had it on, and then they were forfeited. Okay, cameras, pagers, laptop computers, tablets, smartwatches, radios, electronic games. Bulky or loose clothing or coats that could be used to conceal recording devices and notes, including coats, shawls, hooded clothing, heavy jackets, or overcoats. They make you check your pockets and everything like that. Hats or headgear not worn for religious reasons, such as religious apparel, include, so these cannot be worn, hats, baseball caps, or visors. Other personal items, purses, notebooks, reference and reading materials, briefcases, backpacks, wallets, pens, pencils, other writing devices, food, drinks, and good luck items. They cannot go in. Persons accompanied an examination candidate may not wait in the exam center, but inside the building or at the building's property. This applies to guests of any nature, including drivers, children, friends, families, colleagues, or instructors. And there is no eating, smoking, drinking allowed in the exam center. I will tell you, my dad, when he took the exam, he had oral cancer. So he has like a salivatory gland issue. And so he always has cough drops with him. They literally unwrapped the cough drops out of their paper and put them on a tissue to make sure that he wasn't sneaking in any contraband that they're talking about. Okay, so they are very, very particular about this. I just want you to know that. Okay, so that you're prepared. Okay, during the check-in process, all candidates will be asked if they possess any prohibited items. Candidates may also be asked to empty their pockets. You definitely will be, okay, for the proctor to ensure they are empty. A proctor may also ask, and they will, the candidates to lift up the ends of their sleeves and bottoms of their pant legs to ensure that notes or recording devices are not being hidden there. Proctors will also be careful to inspect eyeglass frames, tic tacs, or any other apparel that could be used to harbor a recording device. They really do take their job seriously. I just want you to know that, okay? Where am I? So the glass frames, tic tacs, okay. Proctors will ask to inspect their pockets. If prohibited items are found during check-in, candidates shall put them in the security storage or return their items to their vehicle. PSI will not be responsible for security of any personal belongings or prohibited items. Okay, that's why I say leave it in your car or leave it at home. Any candidate possessing prohibited items in the exam room shall immediately have his or her test results invalidated. So there's your Apple Watch story. And PSI shall notify the exam sponsor of the occurrence. Any candidates seen giving or receiving assistance on the exam found with unauthorized materials or who violate any security regulations will be asked to surrender all exam material and to leave the examination center. All such instances will be reported to the examination sponsor. Copying or communicating exam content is a violation of candidates' contract with PSI in federal and state law. Either may result in disqualification of examination results and may lead to legal action. That being said, we do love it when people call the school after and tell us what they remember, okay, because it gives us a pool of good test questions for our people who are taking the class. So we love that first call to be to us. All right, once candidates have been seated at the exam and they begin, they may have their exam room, they may leave the exam room only to use the restroom and only after obtaining permission from the proctor. Candidates will not receive extra time to complete the exam. Okay, so taking the exam by computer. The exam will be administered via computer. You'll be using a mouse and computer keyboard. So the screen, you'll be directed to a semi-private testing station to take the exam. When you are seated at the testing station, you will be prompted to confirm your name, identification number, and exam for which you are registered. There will be a tutorial that starts before the exam, and then it could take up to 15 minutes. It does not count as part of your exam time. Sample questions are included to show you how they go, okay? The function bar at the top of the test question provides a mouse click access to the features available while taking the exam. Once the question appears on the screen, okay, one question appears at a time. During the exam, minutes remaining will be displayed at the top of the screen and updated as you record your answers. By the way, most people have found that there's an appropriate amount of time to take the exam, plenty of time. After you enter your responses, you will be later able to return to any question and change your response, providing your time has not run out. Now, as your instructor, I'm going to recommend that you do not go back and change any answers. Generally speaking, I believe that in your brain you have these answers and your first inclination is normally accurate. And then the exam review. PSI, in cooperation with the Division of Professional Licensure, will be consistently evaluating the exams being administered to ensure that the exams accurately measure competency in the required knowledge areas. Comments may be entered by clicking the comments link on the function bar of the test question screen. Your comments regarding the questions are welcome. Okay, so we will talk about this in the course of class, is that when something new happens, or like you guys are also right at a time when they've transitioned units and chapters and they've added some things in. So because of that, you might have some transitionary information. I believe that the first year that a question is on the test, it is on the question as a test question, making sure that it is asked appropriately, okay? Okay, so this is an example of your practice test, okay? All right, and that just, you can see where they have the how you would answer it, and this gives you an idea about what it looks like. The more that you review this stuff before you go in, the better you will feel, and the more less nervous you'll be. Okay, scoring reporting. The score will be given to you immediately following completion of the exam. You need to score a minimum of 70% to pass. Okay, the following describes the score reporting process. If you pass, you receive a successful score report. If you do not pass, they will give you a diagnostic report. Okay, And then you're going to bring that back to your test to us if you're working with us, right? Because we can help go through that with you. Okay, so onset licensing, you will get your license right there on the spot. And as you see here, the salesperson fee is between $103 and $150, depending on that birthday. So if it's more of a 2-year or more of a 3-year, right, license. And the same thing with broker, $142 to $200. All right, you will also be required to pay a $12 PSI licensing fee, right? Candidates who do not pay for their license upon passing must fill out a license application instruction form, allowing them to apply by mail within 30 days. So let's say you forgot your credit card or your credit card didn't work or something like that, okay? And then the licensing issuing requirements, all candidates who have met licensing requirements established by the board receive their license immediately. License will include the candidate's photograph. Candidates will receive a license card and a wall certificate. Candidates must be prepared to pay for their required license fee at the test center at the day of exam. Due to statutory requirements that license fees be prorated, license fees change from month to month. License fees may be paid by credit card, personal check, cashier's check, or money order paid to PSI and must be made to the exact amount calculated upon passing the exam. Cash will not be accepted. Okay, so again, we talked about this, and I'm just going to scoot forward. All right, so I'm going to stop this right now. That is your introduction. I'm going to follow up with the exam content outline of both a salesperson and broker. And that will be another critical piece for this, and also, I think, a bedrock. We get a lot of questions about how this works, and I believe that if you confuse, you lose, and I don't want you to lose. So there is your introduction to the Candidate Information Bulletin. Thank you so much.